Hi again. Today we're going to do Module 3, Lesson 20. And our objective is that we're going to use place value strategies and the associative property of n times, in parentheses, m times 10 equals n times m times 10, where n and m are less than 10, to multiply multiples of 10. Okay, so that's just a fancy way of saying that we're going to be using the associative property and that we're going to be multiplying by 10. Okay? No big deal, right? Okay. Before we do that, I would like to do a little bit of a review from the previous lesson. So it says, model 3 times 4 on a place value chart. Then explain how the array can help you solve 30 times 4. Okay, so let's first draw a place value chart. Oh my goodness, we're crooked today. All right, now here's our 10s, and this would be our 1s, right? Okay, now we're going to do 3 groups of 4. So I'm going to need 3 groups, 1, 2, 3, and each one has 4 in it. Right? Now, if we put this is how we would do 3 groups of 4. So I'm going to actually just write 3 groups of 4. Now we need to show or explain how the array can help us solve 30 times 4. So in order to do that, what do I need to do to this array? I need to pick it up, and I need to move it to the 10 spot, don't I? So this would be, when we move this over to the 10 spot, now we have 30, not 30 tens, we have 3 tens. 3 tens times 4. 3 tens times 4, or 30. We've got 4 in each, we've got 10s in each one. So instead of having 1, each one of these being a 1, now each one of these is going to be what? What are these going to be? Each one of these is going to be 10s, right? Okay, so 30 10s times 4 would be, this would be a 10, this would be a 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So each one of these is 10 instead of counting by ones. Now, if we count by ones, 3 groups of 4 equals 12. If we count by tens, then 30 groups of 4 is going to be what? 120, because we've now moved it over to the 10 side. So if you were given a problem and you were told to explain it in your words, I would hope that you would tell me that you're taking this array, you're moving it over to the 10s pocket, and instead of now each of the dots being worth 1, each of the dots are now worth 10. All right? Okay, moving on. Okay, now, I'm going to write this for you to see. Okay, now, which tens fact gives us a product of 40? Now, wait a minute. I'm using words and I'm not sure that you remember. So, let's do our labels. We had factors, we had products. Which is my factor? A factor, let me get a different color. Come on, get my thing to work. I'm going to do blue. A factor is the things that we multiply. This is a factor, this is a factor. What is the product? Okay, give me a different color here. First, now I've lost my cursor. Of course I've lost my cursor. All right, here we go. Come on, right here, red. Which is my product? The product is the answer of a multiplication sentence. Okay, back to black. There we go. Okay, so it wants to know which tens fact is a product of 40? So if I were to break this into a multiplication sentence and rewrite 40, where could I rewrite 40 where 40 is my product? So what is the factors? Well, it wants to know which tens fact, so we know it would be a 10. So 10 times what will give me 40? 10 times 4 gives me 40, right? Okay, now instead of writing 40 times 2, we're going to use the associative property. We're going to rewrite 40 another way. So using our parentheses, we're going to write 10 times 40 as this, or 40 as 10 times 4. My goodness, it's early, I'm getting confused. Okay, and then we're going to multiply the whole thing by 2, right? Because that is the associative property. Now, looking at our problem, if they have the same, if it's addition and addition, remember we can move the parentheses. We can change the parentheses around to make it easier to solve. It's okay with the associative property. Okay, so let's do that. Because if I were to just solve it, I'm solving the very same problem, and there's no point in even rewriting it. So the whole point of this is to make the problem more friendly or easier to solve. Okay, so let's move our parentheses. If our parentheses are around the first 2, let's put them around the second 2. So instead of having 10 times 4 in parentheses, let's put the 4 times 2 in parentheses. And now let's solve it. We know we're going to bring this down. 10 times, well, 4 times 2 is 8. And what is 10 times 8? 80. Now, we could have maybe figured this one out on our own, but this is another way to do it using the, what property was that? Please write this down, because I want you to remember. Associative property. And what the associative property meant that you can move the parentheses and get the same answer. Okay? Now, I want to try a different one. Okay. Okay. What does this equal? Instead of writing what the number is, I wrote what it is. It's label. So I did 3 times 6 ones. So what would my answer be? It would be 18 what? 18 ones, right? Okay. Now, what if we did 3 times 6 ones and we multiplied it by 110? What would we have then? So we have our, 3 times 6 ones, and we're going to multiply it by 110. Let's write this again. This would really be 3 times 6, and this would be 10, right? Okay. Well, what can I use? What property? How about associative property? Because let's change our parentheses. So instead of having it here, let's do it here. Okay? So let's see. What if we had 3 times 6, 6 times 10? What would we have? Well, what's 6 times 10? 6 times 10 is 60. We'll bring down our 3. Well, we know what 3 times 6 is. We know that's 18, but this is not a 6, this is a 60. So it has a 10. Now, what is the difference? I want you to compare this one, with this one. What's the same? The parentheses are in the same spot. What's different? Well, this one we labeled it instead of putting the numbers, the actual digits, right? But do we have the same digits? I still have a 3, a 6, and a 10. A 3, a 6, and a 10, right? What's the difference between this one? It's where we moved the parentheses, right? Okay. Now, this time, I want you to see something. Oops, erase. I'm going to do the same thing again, only we're going to draw it. Okay? So if I have 3 times 6, okay, and I have 3 times 6 ones, I'm going to draw it over here. So here's my tens, and here's my ones, and I'm going to draw this. This is 3 groups of 6. So 1, 2, 3. There's 6 in each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, when I did this one, what is my answer? My answer was 18. How did I make it become, the tens? Well, I took it and I took it all over to the 10 side. And then when I did this, this is really 3 times 6 tens, right? Or times 10. Okay, so here's our tens, and here's our ones, and I moved it over, so now I have 3 groups. This time, instead of doing dots, because each dot would be 1, I'm going to draw circles so that you know that each one is not a 1, it's a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. And how much is in each one? 10, 10, 10, 10, right? There's 10 in every one. 10 in each of them, right? Doesn't matter which one, they're all 10. This one, they were all 1s. Now they're all 10s because they're in the 10 pocket. So what do we have now? We have 3 times 6 times 10, because each one of them are 10s. Okay, and we changed the parentheses, and we found out that this was 180. The only difference is that we moved it from the 1s pocket over to the 10s pocket. That's our only difference. All right, good luck with your homework, and I'll see you tomorrow.